Before we start, comment where you're watching from and your age. Munich, Germany, Musicland Studios, October 1982, 3:47 a.m. Freddie Mercury is recording his first solo album, Mr. Bad Guy. Away from Queen, away from the band, away from everything familiar, just Freddie, alone in a studio in Munich, the city where he's been living his double life, the clubs, the parties, the cocaine, the men, the freedom, the escape. Tonight, he's recording Living on My Own, the most personal song he's ever written, about loneliness, about identity, about wearing masks, about being Freddie Mercury in public and someone else, someone lost, in private. The studio is old, historic, Musicland, where everyone records. Bowie, the Stones, Zeppelin, the walls have heard everything. And in the corner of the main recording room, there's a mirror, huge, ornate, gold baroque frame, 2 meters tall, heavy, old. The studio owner brought it from Berlin, from the Deutsches Theater, a famous theater from the 1920s, Weimar era. The mirror belonged to the dressing rooms, where actors transformed, where they became other people. It has history, the owner said when Freddie asked about it. Energy. A famous actor died in front of it, 1928. Overdose. They found him staring into it. His suicide note said, "I saw who I really was. I can't unsee it." Freddie laughed. Cheerful story. But it's beautiful, no? And the energy. It's good for creativity, for transformation. For weeks the mirror has been there. Freddie has noticed it, glanced at it, but never really looked, never stopped, never stared, until tonight. 3:47 a.m. Freddie is in the vocal booth, headphones on, the track is playing. Living on My Own. The lyrics are about isolation, about pretending, about the person you show the world versus the person you are alone. Freddie starts singing. His voice is strong, emotional, raw, and then he sees the mirror. Through the glass of the vocal booth, across the room, the old Weimar mirror, reflecting the studio lights, reflecting him, and he stops, mid-lyric, mid-breath, just stops. The recording engineer notices immediately. "Freddie, you okay? We're rolling." No response. Freddie is staring at the mirror, not blinking, not moving, just staring. The engineer tries again. "Freddie, can you hear me?" Nothing. Freddie stands completely still, eyes locked on the mirror. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. The engineer is getting worried now, presses the intercom. "Freddie, what's wrong?" Freddie doesn't respond, doesn't acknowledge. He's frozen, like he's seeing something in the mirror, something that's paralyzed him. 1 minute passes, 2 minutes, 3. The engineer considers stopping the tape, going into the booth, checking if Freddie is having some kind of medical episode. But something tells him to wait, to watch, because Freddie's face, it's not blank, it's active. His eyes are moving, like he's looking at something, someone, like there's a conversation happening, silently, in the mirror. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then Freddie's expression changes, from curiosity to confusion to recognition to horror. His mouth opens slightly, his breathing gets faster, his hands start to tremble. 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and then Freddie screams. A raw, primal sound, and he tears off the headphones, throws them, and runs out of the vocal booth, straight toward the mirror. The engineer jumps up. "Freddie, what are you—" Freddie reaches the mirror, stands in front of it, staring, his face inches from the glass, and then he punches it. Full force. Right hand, straight into the center of the mirror. The glass shatters, explodes outward. 7 large pieces, dozens of smaller shards, blood sprays. Freddie's hand is cut, deep, 3 fingers, thumb, index, middle. The cuts are serious, blood pouring. The engineer runs over. "Jesus Christ! Freddie, your hand!" Freddie doesn't seem to feel it, doesn't react to the pain. He's staring at the broken mirror, at the shattered pieces, at his fragmented reflection. And he's crying. "Freddie, we need to get you to a hospital. Your hand—" "No." Freddie's voice is quiet, shaking. "No hospital, just bandages. We need to finish the song." "Are you insane? You're bleeding everywhere. You need stitches. I need to finish the song, now, before I lose it, before he comes back." "Before who comes back?" Freddie doesn't answer. He walks to the bathroom, wraps his hand in paper towels. The white paper turns red immediately. He wraps more and more, until the bleeding slows. Then he walks back to the vocal booth, puts the headphones back on, with his bloody, bandaged hand. "Roll the tape," he says to the engineer. "Freddie, you're not serious. You need medical—" "Roll the tape!" The engineer, terrified and confused, hits record, and Freddie sings, "Living on My Own," his voice shaking, emotional, desperate, while blood drips from his hand, onto the microphone, onto the floor of the vocal booth. The engineer watches in horror as red drops fall onto the silver grill of the Neumann U87 microphone. Watches as Freddie sings through tears and pain and something else, something the engineer doesn't understand. The take finishes. Freddie's voice cracks on the final note, but it's there. It's captured. He takes off the headphones, walks out of the booth without a word, and leaves the studio. The engineer sits in silence, staring at the broken mirror, at the blood on the floor, at the microphone with red stains on its grill. And he realizes Freddie's blood is on the recording, literally, on the tape, in the sound, part of the song forever. What the hell just happened? Let's go back. To understand this night, we need to understand Munich and what Freddie was running from. 1979. Freddie moves to Munich. Why? Because he can't be himself in London, can't be open, can't be free. Munich has a gay scene, clubs, bars, bathhouses, places where Freddie can be Freddie. Not the sanitized version, not the performer, but the real person. The one who loves men, the one who's searching for connection, for identity, for himself. But Munich also has cocaine, lots of it, and Freddie falls into it, hard. The band knows, they're worried, but they can't stop him. Freddie is an adult, making his own choices, his own mistakes. By 1982, Freddie has been in Munich on and off for 3 years, and he's changed. Thinner, darker, more isolated. The parties aren't fun anymore. The drugs aren't helping. The clubs feel empty. And he's writing songs about loneliness, about identity, about the masks we wear. Living on My Own is the centerpiece, the thesis statement, the confession, a song about being alone, even when surrounded by people, even when performing for thousands, alone with yourself, with the person you really are, the person you hide. Freddie books Musicland Studios, wants to record alone, no band, no input, just him, his vision, his pain. And for weeks the recording goes well. He's productive, focused, creating, until the night with the mirror. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more Untold music history. The next morning, Jim Hutton arrives in Munich, Freddie's partner, the man who will stay with him until the end. He finds Freddie in the apartment, sitting in the dark, hand bandaged, staring at nothing. "What happened to your hand?" Jim asks immediately. Freddie doesn't look at him. "I punched a mirror." "You what?" "At the studio. There was a mirror. Old, from Berlin, 1920s, and I saw something in it. Someone. And I had to break it." Jim sits down next to him, gently takes Freddie's bandaged hand. "Who did you see?" Silence, long, heavy. Then Freddie speaks. Quietly, almost whispering. Baroque. Who's Baroque? Me, the boy I used to be. Before all this, before Freddie Mercury, before Queen, before the fame and the costumes and the persona. Just Farrokh Bulsara, 8 years old, in Zanzibar, happy, innocent, unaware of everything coming. Jim is quiet, listening. He was in the mirror, staring at me, and he looked angry. No, not angry, disappointed, disgusted, like he was judging me for what I've become, for what I did to him. What did you do to him? I killed him. Freddie's voice breaks. I murdered him to become Freddie Mercury. I took that 8-year-old boy and I erased him, changed his name, changed his face, changed his voice, changed everything until there was nothing left of him, until Farrokh Bulsara didn't exist anymore. That's not murder. That's growth. That's becoming who you were meant to be. Is it? Or is it erasure? Because when I looked in that mirror tonight, I didn't see Freddie Mercury. I saw Farrokh, and he was looking at me like I was the villain, like I stole his life. And you know what the worst part is? What? He was right. I did steal it. I took his life, the one he could have had, and I threw it away. For this, for fame, for music, for Freddie Mercury. And now, Farrokh is gone. Forever. And I can never get him back. Jim holds Freddie's hand tighter. You're exhausted. You're using too much. The cocaine, the parties, it's making you see things, making you spiral. It wasn't the cocaine. It was real. I saw him. For 5 minutes I stood there and I saw 8-year-old Farrokh staring at me from that mirror. And he wasn't a hallucination. He was a memory. A ghost. The part of me I killed. What did you do when you saw him? I tried to talk to him. In my head, I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I erased you. I'm sorry I changed everything. I'm sorry you had to die so I could live. But he didn't forgive me. He just kept staring, judging. So I punched the mirror to make him go away, to break the image, because I couldn't stand looking at him anymore. The recording engineer, we'll call him Klaus, tells a different version of that night. Years later, after Freddie's death, Klaus gives an interview for a German music magazine. That night was the strangest of my career, and I've been in studios for 30 years. I've seen everything. Musicians on drugs, breakdowns, fights, everything. But what happened with Freddie and that mirror, that was different. He stopped mid-song, just froze, staring at the mirror across the room, for over 5 minutes. I timed it. 5 minutes and 30 seconds. No movement, no response. Just staring. And his face, it wasn't blank, it was active, like he was seeing something, having a conversation with someone in the mirror. Then he screamed, tore off the headphones, ran to the mirror, and punched it, shattered it, blood everywhere. I tried to help, tried to get him to a hospital, but he refused, wrapped his hand in paper towels, and insisted on finishing the recording. So we did, and his blood is on that track. Literally, it dripped onto the microphone. I can show you. The Neumann U87 we used. There are still faint red stains on the grill. We never cleaned it. Freddie wouldn't let us. He said, leave it. It's part of the song now, part of the truth. After he left, I stayed in the studio, cleaning up the broken glass, and I made a mistake. I looked in one of the broken pieces, a large shard, still in the frame. And for just a second, I swear this is true, I didn't see my reflection. I saw a child, a little boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, dark hair, traditional clothing, staring back at me. I dropped the piece. It shattered on the floor. And when I looked again, it was just glass, just my reflection. Normal. I told the studio owner. He wasn't surprised. He said, that mirror has history. The actor who died in front of it, he saw something too. Something that made him unable to live. Some mirrors hold memories, hold images, hold the people who looked into them. We threw the mirror away the next day, all the pieces, into the dumpster. I watched them take it, and I felt relieved, like we were getting rid of something cursed. But sometimes I wonder, did Freddie see what I saw? A child in the mirror? And was it Farouk, the boy he used to be? The boy he killed to become Freddie Mercury? I'll never know. But that night changed something. In Freddie, in the recording, in me. Living on My Own isn't just a song anymore. It's a confession, a haunting, a murder documented in music. And if you listen closely, really closely, you can hear it. The pain, the blood, the ghost in the mirror. Let's talk about the mirror itself, because its history matters. 1920s Berlin, Weimar Republic, the Deutsches Theater, one of the most famous theaters in Germany. The baroque mirror in the main dressing room was custom-made, gold frame, ornate, beautiful, designed for actors to check their costumes, their makeup, their transformations. And transformation is the key word, because in theater you become someone else. You put on a costume, a voice, a personality. You erase yourself, temporarily. But what happens when the erasure isn't temporary? When you become the character so completely that you can't find yourself again? That's what happened to the actor, the one who died. His name was Heinrich Müller, not famous, but talented. He specialized in tragic roles. Hamlet, Macbeth, characters who lose themselves, who spiral, who self-destruct. In 1928, he was performing in a production that demanded everything. Emotional, physical, psychological. He gave himself to it completely. And one night, after a performance, he stood in front of the baroque mirror, staring at his reflection, still in costume, still in character. And he realized he couldn't find Heinrich anymore. The character had taken over. The transformation was complete. He'd erased himself so thoroughly that he didn't exist. His suicide note found next to his body. I saw who I really was, and it was nobody. I can't unsee it. The mirror witnessed that death, that realization, that horror. And some people believe, Klaus believes, the studio owner believed, that mirrors hold memories, especially mirrors that witness transformation, erasure, identity death. The mirror held Heinrich's realization, his horror, his recognition that he'd killed himself to become someone else. And when Freddie stood in front of that mirror in 1982, maybe it showed him the same thing. Not Heinrich, but Farouk, the boy he'd erased, the identity he'd killed. A mirror that specializes in showing you who you destroyed to become who you are. Living on My Own was released in 1985. 3 years after that night in Munich, it became one of Freddie's most personal songs, a fan favorite, a deep cut that people who really understand Freddie love. The lyrics are about loneliness, about being surrounded by people but feeling alone, about parties and crowds and still feeling isolated, about the masks we wear. But knowing the story, knowing about the mirror, the 5-minute trance, the punched glass, the blood on the microphone, the song becomes something else. It becomes a confession, a eulogy, a song about identity murder. Freddie singing about being alone. But he's not alone with other people. He's alone with himself, with Freddie Mercury, the person he created, while Farouk, the person he was, is gone. Dead, killed, and he's living with that ghost, that accusation, that judgment. Some fans have analyzed the recording, listening for evidence of the blood, the pain, the breakdown, and they hear it in Freddie's voice, a shakiness, a rawness, an emotion that goes beyond performance. One audio engineer analyzed the track, said, "There's a texture to Freddie's voice on this song that doesn't exist on other recordings. It's not technical, it's emotional, like he's singing through pain, physical and psychological. The blood on the microphone created a literal texture, a physical presence in the recording, but the emotional texture, that's Freddie. That's the 5 minutes staring at Farouk. That's the realization, the punch, the shattering. That's identity crisis made audible. Freddie never talked about the mirror publicly, never mentioned it in interviews, never explained what happened that night, but Jim Hutton wrote about it, years later, in his memoir. Freddie rarely spoke about his childhood, about Farouk, about Zanzibar. It was like that part of his life didn't exist, like he'd buried it so deep that even he couldn't access it. But after Munich, after the mirror, he started having nightmares. He'd wake up crying, saying, "He was there, Farouk was there, and he hates me." I'd hold him, tell him it was just a dream, but Freddie would shake his head. "It's not a dream. It's a memory, a reckoning. I killed that boy, and he's never going to forgive me." I didn't understand then. I thought it was the drugs, the exhaustion, the pressure. But now, looking back, I understand. Freddie wasn't just Freddie Mercury. He was also Farouk Bulsara, and those two identities were at war. One had to die for the other to live. Freddie chose himself, chose fame, chose music, chose the life he wanted. But that choice had a cost, and the cost was Farouk, the innocent boy, the traditional son, the person he could have been. And that mirror, that cursed, beautiful, terrible mirror, showed him the cost, made him look at it, made him acknowledge it. And Freddie couldn't handle it, so he destroyed the mirror, broke it, bled on it, tried to erase the image. But you can't erase guilt, you can't punch away regret. You can only live with it, carry it, sing about it. And that's what Freddie did. For the rest of his life, he carried Farouk, the ghost, the accusation, the boy he killed, until he died. And maybe, hopefully, they finally made peace. The mirror was thrown away. October 1982. Musicland Studios dumpster. All the pieces, the frame, everything. But the studio owner kept one shard, a small piece. Fits in his palm. He kept it in a box, in his office. "I don't know why," he said years later. "Maybe as a reminder, maybe as proof. That night happened. That mirror was real. That something, whatever it was, occurred." After Freddie died in 1991, a journalist asked the studio owner, "Do you still have the piece of mirror?" "Yes, in a box. I don't look at it, but I keep it." Why? Because Freddie saw something in that mirror, something that changed him, something that made him bleed. And even though I don't understand it, even though it terrifies me, I feel like that piece of glass witnessed something important, something true. Freddie Mercury and Farouk Bulsara, the man and the boy, the star and the child, face to face, for 5 minutes. And that confrontation, that reckoning is frozen in that mirror, forever. So I keep it, as a testament, to the cost of transformation, to the price of becoming someone else, to the ghosts we create when we kill who we were. There's a philosophy in this story, a universal truth that goes beyond Freddie, beyond music, beyond fame. We all do it. We all kill earlier versions of ourselves to become who we are. The child becomes the teenager. The teenager becomes the adult. The adult becomes the professional. The professional becomes the parent. The parent becomes the elder. Each transformation requires death, erasure, leaving behind. And sometimes, in quiet moments, in mirrors, in memories, we see them, the people we used to be, the identities we killed, and they judge us, ask us, was it worth it? Was I worth killing? Most of the time we don't answer. We look away, distract ourselves, move forward. But Freddie couldn't look away. That mirror wouldn't let him. It held Farouk there, 8 years old, innocent, accusing, and Freddie had to answer, had to confront, had to acknowledge, "Yes, I killed you. I'm sorry, but I had to. For this life, for this music, for Freddie Mercury to exist, Farouk had to die. And Farrokh from the mirror asked, "Was it worth it?" We'll never know Freddie's answer, because he punched the mirror instead of speaking, shattered the image instead of responding, but maybe the punch was the answer. Maybe the violence, the blood, the pain. Maybe Freddie was saying, "Yes, it was worth it, and I hate that it was. I hate that I had to kill you, but I'd do it again, because Freddie Mercury, flawed and broken and beautiful, is who I chose to be." That's the tragedy. That's the triumph. That's the truth frozen in broken glass and blood, and a song called "Living on My Own." October 1982, Munich, 3:47 a.m. A mirror, a trance, a punch, blood on a microphone. Freddie Mercury staring at Farrokh Bulsara, the man facing the boy, the star confronting the child. 5 minutes and 30 seconds of silence, of judgment, of reckoning. And then violence, shattering, blood, and music. Always music. Living on My Own isn't just a song. It's a document, evidence, proof. Proof that becoming who you are requires killing who you were, and that ghost, that murdered identity, never really dies. It just waits. In mirrors, in memories, in songs recorded with blood on the microphone. Freddie Mercury killed Farrokh Bulsara and spent the rest of his life living with that ghost until 1991, when Freddie died. And maybe, finally, they became one person again. The boy and the man. The identity and the persona. Farrokh and Freddie. Together, at peace, in whatever comes after Mirrors. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe for more untold stories from music history.